There was a man once, smart, talented, full of potential. He had opportunities others could only dream of. But when the moment to act came, he hesitated. He told himself, "Tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. Days turned into years. And in the end, regret was the only thing left. Now, let me ask you, how many times have you done the same? This is the silent battle almost everyone fights. The war between anxiety and action. The fear of stepping into the unknown. But listen carefully. What if I told you that the very thing you fear might be your greatest weapon? Because it is. There's something about anxiety no one ever told you. It isn't just fear. It isn't just an obstacle. It's something far more powerful. Søren Kierkegaard, the man many call the father of existentialism, saw what most people miss. He said something that turns everything you think about anxiety on its head. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Think about that. Let it sink in. Anxiety is not a flaw. It's not a weakness. It's what happens when you fully grasp just how much control you have over your own life. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing in a massive library, shelves stretching as far as the eye can see, filled with books. But here's the twist. Each book is a different version of your life, a different path you could take, a different choice you could make. Some books lead to success, others to failure. Some are filled with adventure, others with regret. And you, standing in the center of it all, are the one who must choose. That feeling, that tightness in your chest, that overwhelming rush when you realize that every choice you make shapes your future, that's anxiety. That's the weight of your own freedom pressing down on you. Most people run from it. They distract themselves, numb themselves, do anything to avoid feeling it. But what if, just for a moment, you stopped running? What if you turned and faced it? Because here's the truth no one ever told you. Anxiety isn't the enemy. It's a signal. It's your mind's way of telling you that you're standing at the edge of something important, that you're about to step into the unknown, that you are alive. So the real question is this: what if you could use anxiety to fuel your growth instead of letting it paralyze you? What if, instead of being a barrier, it became your greatest weapon? Let's be honest. Most people will never escape the invisible prison they've built for themselves. Not because they aren't smart enough, not because they aren't capable, but because of something far more dangerous: comfort. It's strange, isn't it? The thing we spend our whole lives chasing, the safe job, the predictable routine, the stability, ends up being the very thing that traps us. This is the paradox of comfort. We think comfort equals happiness, but in reality, it suffocates us. It lulls us into a state of quiet stagnation, where nothing ever really changes, where the years blur together, and suddenly we wake up realizing we never really lived. Carl Jung had a name for this hidden part of you, the part that craves risk, adventure, and chaos. He called it the shadow. It's the version of you that wants to take the leap, that wants to step into the unknown, that knows you were meant for more. But instead of embracing it, most people make a deal. They trade discomfort for security, risk for predictability, growth for routine, and in doing so, they kill their own potential. Now let's bring this home. Think back to a moment in your life when you hesitated, a job opportunity you didn't take, a conversation you avoided, a dream you kept postponing. Why? Because anxiety whispered in your ear, "What if you fail?" So you stayed where it was safe. You convinced yourself there would be another time, another chance. But deep down, you know the truth. That hesitation, that fear, That was your future slipping through your fingers. And if you keep making that same choice again and again, what do you think will happen? The same thing that happens to most people. They spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for permission. But no one is coming to save you. No one is going to give you the permission you're waiting for. So the real question is this: how do you break free? How do you turn anxiety from an obstacle into a weapon? Stay with me, because that's exactly what we're about to uncover. Most people think anxiety is a problem to be solved, something to be eliminated, avoided, numbed. But Søren Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, had a different perspective. He called anxiety the dizziness of freedom. Let that sink in. Anxiety isn't just fear. It's a signal, a sign that you are standing at the edge of something meaningful, a sign that you are alive. But most people misinterpret it. They feel the tightness in their chest, the racing thoughts, the doubt creeping in, and they retreat. They assume fear means stop. But that's the biggest lie we've been told. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. This is what Kierkegaard called the school of anxiety. You must face anxiety to grow. There is no other way. But how? Here's a simple 3-step formula to turn anxiety into power. Step 1. Identify the call to action. Anxiety doesn't show up randomly. It appears at a crossroads, a moment where you're faced with two choices: step forward into the unknown or retreat into safety. Look at your own life. What is the thing that keeps you up at night? The decision you keep postponing? The conversation you avoid? The dream you can't stop thinking about? That's your call to action. Step 2. Reframe the fear. We assume fear is a warning. But what if it's a compass? Think about it. Why would your mind create anxiety about something meaningless? It wouldn't. Anxiety only exists where there's potential for growth. So the next time you feel it, don't ask, "How do I make this go away?" Ask, "What is this trying to tell me?" Because the thing you fear the most, that's exactly where you need to go. Carl Jung had a radical idea. Your instincts are often wiser than your rational mind. Your fear-based thoughts will come up with 100 reasons why you should wait, why you should think it over, why you should wait for the right time. Ignore them. Kierkegaard put it best: to dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Now let me give you a real-life example. There was a woman who spent years stuck in a job that drained her. She had ideas, dreams, ambitions, but every time she thought about leaving, fear took over. What if I fail? What if I regret it? One day, she heard this concept: fear is a compass, and something clicked. Instead of avoiding the fear, she followed it. She quit, started her own business, and built a life she never thought possible. Not because she wasn't scared, but because she acted despite the fear. And that's the secret. Fear never goes away, but if you learn to use it instead of run from it, it will take you exactly where you need to go. So, what is your fear telling you? Because the next step is the most important one yet. Stay with me. Let's talk about the leap of faith and the secret to overcoming fear once and for all. There comes a moment in every person's life when they stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar, predictable, safe. The other is uncertain, unknown, terrifying. And this is where most people hesitate. This is where anxiety whispers, "Turn back. It's too risky." But Kierkegaard had a different view. He called this moment the leap of faith. Not faith in something external, not blind belief in fate or luck, but something far more powerful: faith in yourself. Let me ask you something. If you were standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into a thick fog, would you jump? Probably not. But what if I told you there was solid ground just a few feet below, hidden, waiting? Would you still hesitate? That's what taking a leap of faith feels like. You can't see the next step, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. The problem is, most people never jump. They wait for certainty. They wait for a guarantee. And in that waiting, their potential dies. Because here's the hard truth. You don't find out who you are by thinking about it. You find out by doing. You can analyze, reflect, plan. But at some point, the only thing left to do is act. Nathaniel Branden put it bluntly. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents. Not your friends. If you don't take action, nothing will change. So here's my challenge to you. What is one thing you've been avoiding because of fear? One decision, one action, one step forward? Now ask yourself, what if you took action today? Because the difference between those who live and those who merely exist is the willingness to jump. Most people don't live. They perform. Every day they wake up and put on a mask. The mask of who they think they're supposed to be. They say the right things, act the right way, follow the script society handed them. And for a while it works, feels safe, keeps them accepted. But deep down they know the truth. They know they've betrayed themselves. Carl Jung called this the tragedy of the unlived life. He believed that within each of us, there's a hidden self, wild, untamed, authentic. A version of you that isn't shaped by fear or expectations, but by raw, unfiltered truth. And here's the catch. You can't become whole without embracing the chaos inside you. Because the parts of you that scare you the most, they hold the key to your transformation. Think about it. The greatest version of you isn't found in comfort. It isn't found in playing small. It's waiting on the other side of the risks you refuse to take. So ask yourself, are you truly living or just existing? Because here's the reality. Every time you shrink away from what scares you, a piece of you dies. Not all at once. Slowly, quietly, until one day you look back and realize you never truly lived at all. But that doesn't have to be your story. The life you were meant to live, the real you, is still waiting. And the only way to find it is to step into the unknown. Now, let's bring this all together. Because there's one final lesson, the most important one of all. Stay with me. Remember the man we talked about in the beginning? The one who hesitated, who let fear whisper, "Not yet." Until not yet became never. That doesn't have to be you. Because now you know the truth. Anxiety isn't a barrier. It's a signal. It's pointing you toward something important, toward the life you were meant to live. So here's my challenge to you. This week, do one thing that scares you. Just one. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be something that makes your heart race. That tiny, electric moment when your mind screams, "Don't!" but your soul whispers, "Go." Say the thing you've been holding back. Apply for that opportunity. Take the first step toward what you've been avoiding, and then watch what happens. Because the second you step through fear, something shifts. The illusion shatters. And suddenly you realize fear was never the enemy. It was the doorway. And if you have the courage to walk through it, on the other side, you'll find the one thing you've been searching for all along. Say this out loud. I will not let fear control me. I will use it. Now type it in the comments. Make it real. Make it yours. And if you made it this far, then you already know this is just the beginning. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because the world needs more people who refuse to let fear win. I'll see you in the next one. Stay bold. Stay fearless.